Hello, hello, hello. Yes, it is Thursday, and you guys know what that means. It's time for another fantastic episode of Dividing Truth. We are a weekly podcast sharing financial truths to help women professionals and women entrepreneurs become financially free in uncertain times. We want you to think differently. We want you to master your money. And I am your host, Lexi Johnson. I'm an international speaker and master coach in the financial services industry. And you are listening to Radio Wave. And I want to be able to let you all know that you can go to the website. You see it scrolling down at the bottom, www.radiowaveforyou.com, where you can subscribe and you can be notified when this podcast is going on the air, when a new episode drops. But not only that, you can also listen to many of the other fantastic radio shows and podcasts that are going on at radiowaveforyou.com. We thank you for listening. We thank you for tuning in. And you can also listen on Facebook through our Radio Wave page. So again, look for Radio Wave for You. Like the page, you can tag into the app through the page, or you can look at the episode right there on the page. So once again, thank you for tuning in. Share this out. Today, I have an amazing guest, a really close friend and colleague of mine. So happy to get her on the show because y'all, she is super busy doing amazing things for people all over the U.S. and even abroad. She has that kind of reach, you guys. So I'm just happy to have Miss Dee Edwards, who is a taxpreneur, and she is the CEO of Dee Edwards Online. Dee, introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, you guys, my name is Dee Edwards. And first of all, I am super excited and super thrilled to be here. Most people, they know me from social media, from teaching, preaching, ministering, prophesying the word of the Lord as a taxpreneur as well. And so I enjoy helping tax professionals to become tax business owners. So thank you again for having me here, Lexi.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, we know we're on this show, we're about all things money. And listen, you guys, one of the things that I love about my sister Dee is that she's all things money too. So we enjoy having, yes, she is. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we can all be money magnets. And so that's why I'm glad to have Dee on the show, because we're going to, talk a lot about that. Before we get into that, though, what I want, Dee, if you would just share with our audience today, share with us like your money background. Like, did you come from a wealthy family? Did you always have this attitude about money? Like, how did this work for you? And the reason why I have people share their background is because I know, at least, kind of when I was growing up and even in my young adulthood and stuff, I always thought people who were wealthy came from wealth, right? Like I didn't really feel like there were a whole lot of people bootstrapping their way or anything like that. So on this show, I like to have people share their background, whether it was they, inherited it or whether they bootstrapped it. But I want people to hear that people who become financially free, are just everyday people like you and I. So share with us your background, if you will.
Yeah, thank you so much. So for me, I did not come from a background of wealth, although I would have liked to, but I did not. Actually, I grew up in a community that was poverty driven. Now, my family have always worked extremely hard. My dad, when he retired from his job, he had been there for like 33 years. So it was never work ethic that kept my family from receiving or even having financial freedom and financial wealth. I believe that it stemmed from the poverty community and then the poverty mentality, which I began to adopt as I got older. I remember just growing up, my mom, she used to have all of these credit cards. I'm talking about Riches, Parisian, Virgin, Macy's, BP gas station credit cards. I'm telling you, like a credit card galore. And so I could not wait until I turned 18 years old so that I could give me a credit card. And lo and behold, not did I just get one credit card, I probably had about 15 credit cards. And I was proud to pull those credit cards out, although they may have had $100 credit limit, $150 credit limit. Like I was excited to pull it out, but I did not realize the responsibility that came with charging. I didn't realize that credit is really a reflection of your character. Money, the way that you manage money, the way that you see money really has a lot to do with relationship. And so how we view relationships in our lives, literally it spewed over to the way that we manage our relationships with money. And so before I knew it, by the time my husband and we married, we had over $100,000 in debt. And so it looked like it was impossible to get out of debt, because I never seen anyone really get out of debt the way that we wanted to. And there's no condemnation for anyone who has filed bankruptcy or Chapter 7 or 11 and all of those things. But that was not the route that I wanted to take. I just felt like if I did all of this to get in debt, if I charged that card for this outfit, if I charged that card for this gas, I felt like my integrity level said that I had to also work hard to pay it off. And so that's what we were able to do. We were able to just work extremely hard, make tons of sacrifice to pay off over $100,000 in debt. This is important for you guys to understand, is that combined, we only had $50,000 household income, and that was before taxes.
Mercy, mercy, mercy. So a little bit later in the show, I'm gonna come back to that, because I want you to explain to people how on $50,000 of income, okay, you were able to get out of that $100,000 of debt. But I want to reiterate something that you said, and you talked about, in your childhood. One of the things that you said, Dee, was that your parents worked hard, right? My parents worked hard. My father worked in the steel mill, and my mom, taught. She was a preschool teacher, and they worked hard. Not only was my mom a preschool teacher, but then she would tutor kids, outside of the school time and all of that. So they worked really hard. And that was something that we were told, was that if you, go to school, get your education and you work hard, that, you will experience success financially.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? And I was much like you, like as I got into adulthood, I'm like, no, this is not this is not the formula. This is not the formula for success. And I still hear that being said sometimes, a lot of times, in a lot of families. And so talk to me about, maybe that mindset, because you talked about a poverty mindset. Talk to me about that limiting belief, and maybe some other limiting beliefs that you subscribe to before you realized there was a different way.
Yeah. So, one of the things I have to make sure that the listeners understand is that you can work extremely hard, but you can also feel as if you have holes in your pocket. The money can come in, but it does not make you feel good, even as a person, to see that money have to go out every single time that you got paid. There were times where I only had like $20 to last me 2 weeks. There was times where I just didn't know where gas money was going to come from. And I know that it was only by the grace of God when the gas tank said E, that I was able to go, another 10 miles, another 15 miles, another, 20 miles. And so I know exactly how that feels. And one of the limited beliefs that I had is that I just thought, honestly, this is my truth, I just felt like everyone who was wealthy, they were either white, they didn't look like me, or they got it the wrong way. And so I just thought that was the only way to generate financial freedom. That was the only way to generate wealth, because I had not seen anybody do it with entrepreneurship. I had not seen anybody work hard and do it. It just didn't align for me. How could somebody work so hard day and night and still not have enough to take care of their family? And so that's when I realized that it had to be more than just hard work that would lead us to a place of financial freedom. Mindset definitely changes the way that you manage money. And as long as I was broken, I had a broke relationship with money. As long as I was broken, I was wounded, I didn't realize the power that exists in money. I didn't realize that money answers all things, just like the Bible said. And so all of the issues that I was having, they was pretty much, around money, the stress, the depression, the weight, the working extra hard, working long hours, not being around my family. I would come home and I would have a bad attitude. I would deal with anxiety and panic attacks, all of that. It literally stemmed around money. Now, I don't want anybody to feel that money is the only thing that you need, but I'm telling you, having money, it definitely takes the pressure that I have personally experienced from life away. And so I had to literally change my mindset in order to change my relationship with money, in order to learn how to manage money better.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I want to double back on, you said something about the Bible, right?
Mhm,
And the Bible says, "Money answereth all things."
mhm,
And Dee, as I was growing up, I don't know about you, but as I was growing up, money, when they talked about money in the church, when they talked about Christ and money in the church, they always talked about, oh, how poor Christ was,
mhm.
and it was I mean, it was not a cool thing to talk,
Yeah.
to talk about money, to want money, to
Mhm,
desire money.
mhm.
None of that was cool. You know what I'm saying? Even if you were performing things for the church, let's say, like growing up, I play piano, right?
Oh, wow.
And shh, y'all don't tell nobody. So, so but if you wanting to get paid for that or something like that, it was like, no, this is just what you should do. You know what I'm saying? Because, you shouldn't expect that type of thing or whatever. So share with me, if you will, was that your experience as well in the church, or did you have a different experience?
Yeah, that was definitely my experience in the church as well. Just for the not in the church. I just believe that we grew up afraid to say that we wanted money, or we needed money, or we wanted to have
Hmm.
a better lifestyle. I think we were indoctrinated into the poverty mentality. I just believe that it was a sin, because people a lot of times got the scripture misconstrued when it said that the love of money is the root to all
Yeah.
evil. And so in our minds, we just felt as if to have money was the root to all evil. But the Bible was just saying that the love of money is the root to all evil. He's saying not to be led by money. You rule over money instead of money ruling over you. And so the Bible said that Jesus, yes, he was poor. He became poor and took upon the cross poverty so that we can become rich. He adopted this lifestyle so the curse of poverty could be broken off our life, and we could have the freedom and the opportunity to unlock the power to get wealth. And so I believe that Jesus, when he died on the cross, he died with the curse of poverty so that we would not have to experience it. And so now I am realizing to be in poverty is more of a choice. People don't
Mm,
want to hear that.
mm,
To be in
no.
poverty, I'm telling you, be in poverty is more of a choice. Now, if you were to ask the average person who is, poor or maybe struggling with money, they would say that it is not their choice. But when it comes down to managing money, that is your choice. It is
Yeah.
poverty and being poor. It is the reality of the way that we manage money. I'm
Mm,
telling you, because if we could go from having $100,000 in debt on the same income that got us in debt, was the same income that got us out of debt, it was on us. It wasn't on God. I don't know if I
Right.
was waiting on something to drop from heaven in order to get us out of debt. I don't know I don't know if I was waiting to have like a spiritual encounter or a spiritual, meet up or something. Because I thought that if I don't know if I thought that, just God was just going to get me out of debt himself. And God began to tell me, he was like, I did my part. I broke the curse of poverty. And so you're going to have to manage well what I've given you. Just like the scripture said that, those who are faithful over little, I'll make you ruler over much. And many people want to be rulers over much, but have not managed how to be good steward over the little. And so God had to teach me how to be a good steward over little. He had to teach me how to utilize wisdom when we had a little, and even now, not having to live from paycheck to paycheck. Because I'm not a multimillionaire, but the money that God has given us, it sure feel like it, because I've learned how to manage well. I learned how to manage well, yeah. And so I just believe that none of us have to be poor. None of us have to be in poverty. All of us can experience financial freedom, but will all of us experience financial freedom? Absolutely not, because all of us will not do what it takes in order to experience financial freedom. But it's available.
Absolutely.
But it's available. I gotta say that it's available.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. Look, I'm sitting here like I can get up and do a lap around this room right now, what you have just said. Because we do, oftentimes, not just in finances and almost anything, like we look to put the blame on something outside of ourselves, right? And we don't want to confront the fact that, hey, the series of choices that I have made, and yes, maybe we were indoctrinated in a poverty mindset. And, but even at that, at some point in your life, you have to make a decision. Do I move forward in this mindset that I was, that I was taught, that I've been indoctrinated in, or, when I see better or learn better or hear better or whatever, then, what am I doing with that information? Right. And it's so true. Because even in my own experience, in my own journey with finances, that was the thing. It was like, you got to do the work, girl. Like, you can't just sit here and pray and, and then, I pray for things. Literally, I would pray and say, God, please send someone to, to show me or whatever. And he would, right? But at the end of the day, I still had to do the work.
Yeah.
They could come, they could teach me, till they're blue in the face. But until I decided that I was actually going to put the work in and to do what I needed to do to get myself out of that hole that I put myself into, right? Because I had to confront that too. Like, no, this was the series. What has happened to me was because of a series of choices that I have made over time.
Yep. Same here. And that's when I think that was like a rude awakening for me, when I realized that nobody was going to get me out of debt. Because even when you file bankruptcy, if you still don't learn to manage well, if you still don't understand the importance of having a relationship with money, you'll find yourself filing bankruptcy again and again. You'll find yourself on that same journey. I know people who have filed bankruptcy several times. There has to be a change that takes place. And that means that you have to literally undo or learn something new to establish new principles of money. And so I had to really learn. Do you understand? Because I couldn't adopt it from my family because they didn't have it. So I had to learn. I had to seek after different educational ways, just following other people, reading books about the importance of managing money and learning how to do that. And sometimes, it can be embarrassing when you're a grown person and you feel like I should know these little things. But the reality, if you come from where I've come from, some of these things that we didn't have the privilege of learning, we didn't have the privilege of someone teaching us, what happens when we swipe a credit card, or even teaching us how to even manage our money that's on a debit card. Because, I was taught, there's none, what you call those fees, those bank charge fees, like when you go.
Oh, yes, those insufficient overdraft fees.
Honey, some of us are taught to live off that. Some of us are taught to buy a nice house, buy a nice car, and then file bankruptcy. Like
Yes.
that's been the type of teaching that I have been under. And so I had to tell myself that there had to be another way. I was tired, Lexi. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
what that feels like. I was absolutely
Mm-hmm.
tired of just struggling. I was just tired. And I believe like okay, so y'all know everything is biblical for me. Just like with blind Bartimaeus, when he heard that Jesus was passing by, he began to shout. He began to get the attention of Jesus because he was in desperate need of healing.
Yeah.
Wanted God to heal him. And so the people around him were telling him to be quiet, not to say anything. No, blind Bartimaeus was like, no, I'm in desperate need. I got this one opportunity. Jesus is close
Yes.
by to get this healing. And so I feel like when you are desperate enough, that's when you scratch outside of what has become comfortable for you and start seeking a
Yes.
way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a saying that goes something like, when the pain of, and I'm not going to get this verbatim, guys, but it's a quote that goes something like, when the pain of, what you're going through becomes more unbearable than the pain of change, then
Mm.
you'll finally, do
Seek
what
out.
it is that you need to do.
Yeah,
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 absolutely. And I can definitely, relate to that, because those who know my story as well know that I hit that point. Like,
yeah,
okay, it's either I do something different or God can just take me on out of here. That was just that's where I was at,
yeah,
And yeah, you just definitely have to, again, you have to put in the work. There's no shortcut around that. And audience, Dee talked about bankruptcy, and she said, there's no condemnation, on people who do it. But
Mhm.
she's so right, because I filed bankruptcy, and this is so crazy because in the
Wow.
next episode, this is what we're going to be talking
Oh,
about.
wow.
uh, but I did file bankruptcy, and one of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you all on that episode is that, yes, if you are not willing to do the work
Mhm.
to manage differently, you're just going to end up in that position again. Because
Yeah.
I filed bankruptcy and I ended up in debt again. Now, I didn't file another time. I decided I'm going to do the work and get myself, learn what I needed to do. But even in that first time of filing bankruptcy, had I learned and done, learned things while I was going through that process, because you think, okay, I'm just gonna, do this and wipe it all away. It's a clean slate, start all over. But no, if you have the same mindset that is operating, it doesn't matter how many times you file. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? You're still not going to be financially successful. So I don't want to get into all of that. You guys are gonna have to wait till come back for the next episode, the next show on that. But Dee, what you said about that was so real. It is so
So
real.
real. It's so real.
We have to do the work. We have to do the work.
Yeah.
So talk to us, because we're talking about doing the work, right? And we hear people talk about this all the time, whether it's in finances or, related to something else, whether it's relationships, whether it's whatever. It's like, do the work, do the work, do the work, right? So talk to us about the work that you had to do. What were some specific things that you had to do to help you so that you wouldn't, be in that cycle of poverty?
Yeah. So first of all, the first thing that I did is we had to determine how much debt we were really in. So it's one thing to know that you have a credit card maxed out here and there. But when you begin to write that stuff down and to realize that you have accumulated all of this debt, first of all, I had to forgive myself for allowing us to be in this place, because the devil wanted to place shame and guilt and condemnation. And then after looking at the numbers, it became overwhelming. Like this is what was realistic for me, that it became so overwhelming just looking at the numbers and looking at what we had coming in, knowing that we were living from paycheck to paycheck. And so it seemed like it was like literally impossible. So the first thing that we did was we forgave ourselves for allowing us to be in this place. We looked at the total amount of money that we owed. Then we looked at the amount of money that we were bringing in, and then we started to really just budget. Okay, and so what does budget look like for us? We cut out extracurricular activities for like 2 years, you guys. I'm telling you, from we didn't get our hair done, we didn't get our nails done, our toes done, we didn't buy clothes. We only went to designated places. Like, we weren't driving across town just to do that. Like, we really went on a strict lifestyle because we gave ourselves a certain amount of time to get out of debt. And so we started to, I know you guys probably have heard this from Dave Ramsey before about the snowball. And so that's what we did. We began to look at interest rates. We began to look at just the balances. We began to look at things that were on our credit. We also looked at what was about to go on our credit as well as negative. And so we were trying to avoid that already getting on our credit, because we already had a lot of other stuff that was on our credit. So we really just tried the snowball effect. And for us, it worked. And when we started contacting creditors and letting them know that we wanted to make a settlement, we wanted to pay certain things off, I just felt, I feel like the favor of God was with us when we decided, and God saw that we were going to be serious about getting out of debt. And so I believe that us making the first step allowed God to release his supernatural favor and grace upon our life. And initially it felt like we were going to miss out on a lot of stuff, but God still favored us there, that, we were able to go out to eat, not on our dime. We were able to go out to eat on our pastor and our first lady dime. We were able to still travel with them, and it was all expenses paid. It was like God still favored us and allowed us to stay true to the commitment. But I tell you this, that is definitely, especially now it's going to take a little bit more commitment from people to get out of debt versus when we did it, because now everything look good. Now, I mean, social media is way bigger. And as much as we say that we try not to be like the Joneses, a lot of us, we still do try to be like the Joneses, want to keep up with the latest fashion, the latest trend. We feel insecure when nails are not done. When nails are not done, toes are not done, all of that stuff. And so I just feel like you really have to be committed to the bigger picture. And what I would encourage anybody to do is to think forward, like see yourself out of debt, see yourself not living from paycheck to paycheck, see yourself having a savings account, see yourself with an emergency fund, see yourself enjoying seeing money grow. I did find a love for that, seeing, like money grow. I would say see yourself buying your house, see yourself buying your car. Just see yourself in the future versus right now. And that also helped too with us staying on track.
That is absolutely amazing. Listen, you guys, you've been listening to Dividing Truth. I'm your host, Lexi Johnson. We have an amazing guest today, Dee Edwards online, and she is sharing with us, just her journey in finances, how she overcame a poverty mindset. And so if you're just tuning in, you are definitely going to have to go back and catch the recording, catch this from the beginning, because she has just dropped a whole lot of truths, which is what this show does. And so we want to make sure that that you can subscribe to this show by going to www.radiowaveforyou.com. You go there, you can subscribe not only to Dividing Truth, but to many of the other amazing podcasts and radio shows that are taking place there. And I want you to know that you can also join our Facebook group. Just search Dividing Truth with Lexi on Facebook, because we can continue to have the conversation in there, right? Like, this podcast can only last for about 40, 45 minutes or so, maybe 50. But, after that, folks got to go. We got lives, right? but we can continue the conversation in that Facebook group. So again, on Facebook, just search for Dividing Truth and join the group so we can continue the conversation. And listen, Dee, so you said so many things in terms of, you know, the things that you all did to actually do the work to get out of debt, and not just get out of debt physically, but to move out of that poverty mindset. So the first thing you said was to forgive yourself, right? Which is so important. You have got to forgive yourself, right? Once you know, own up to, okay, yeah, these were choices I made, I did this, you know, you go through this period of, you know, feeling guilty, you know, feeling, you know, man, if I should have done, you know, you're just hard on yourself, you know, at least I know I was. And so you've got to forgive yourself, you know, as Dee said. And then you know, you go from there. She talked about things about you know, budgeting, putting yourself on a strict budget. She talked about and that whole putting yourself on a strict budget thing. One of the other things too you said, Dee, was about seeing yourself in the future.
Yeah.
And what I am big on when I'm working with my clients is the reason why a lot of us struggle financially. One of the reasons why a lot of us struggle financially is because of that very thing. We don't see ourselves in the future. We don't sit here and say, okay, what is it that I'm trying to achieve in this life financially?
Yeah.
What are, you know what I'm saying? What are my goals financially? I can't tell you the number of times that when I sit down with a client, I'm like, okay, well, what are your financial goals? You know, what do you want to accomplish? And then I get this deer in the headlights look, right? And again, not being judgmental or anything like that, for those of you listening, because I was there, right? Sitting there like, oh no, ain't never thought about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was taught to, you know, what do I want to do as a career? What do I want to, you know, I was taught how to set goals in that way, or, you know, job, but never really, no one said, hey, sit down, you need to really be thinking about what you want to do on this earth financially. you know?
Something that someone that I was never taught is that we could actually be debt free. I was never taught that. I was always taught that we'll always owe someone. That's what I thought. So I thought that this is no lie, you guys. Like I thought everybody had a house note. I thought everybody had a car note. I just thought like, you know, this was the norm. This was the average. You know, once you get a certain age, you go and get your car, you have the car note. And then once you, even if you get to a chance to pay that off, then you just go and get another one. Like I was literally taught that you were going to have a car note or a house note for the rest of your life. So you might as well just get what you want. That's what I was taught. But the reality is that people are literally driving around in vehicles that are paid for. People are literally living in houses that are paid for. Like, and so I want to tell anyone who's listening today who may have been stuck and felt like, you know what? It's not realistic for it to happen for me. Let me tell you, it is realistic for you to be debt free. You do not have to have a car note. Let me tell you this, you guys. I personally know what it feels like to drive a vehicle with the highest interest rate. My car note was like $700. Do you understand me? That did not include insurance. So I know what it feels like to drive around with a high car note, and you're believing and you're praying and asking God to give you a car, but at the same time, feeling as if you have to accept the only offer that's out there because you're financially stuck. And so that's why I said, like, there's no judgment coming from me. I'm telling you from personal experience, I know what it feels like.
Absolutely. Mine wasn't 700, it was 500. And let me tell you, you know what I'm saying? So you're driving around, and listen, audience, again, this is no judgment because we have lived this, right? Like, you know, so I'm driving around, I'm looking cute, but Dee on the inside, I'm like, heck, I need to make this next note. Like, this thing is killing me, right? I can't do anything else. I can't travel. I can't even go get a burger at McDonald's because every little dollar I have.
Okay. That vehicle. And so many times I wanted to go and turn that car in, but I had no other choice but to keep the vehicle. And the thing
Yes.
is, it taught me a lesson. I said, God, once we pay this vehicle off, and we end up paying it off like 3 years, oh, honey, we still got that car. Do you understand? We still got that truck. We still,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're gonna hold on to it because
Yes.
that truck got meaning for us. But
Yes.
it just taught us a lot of things. And one of the things that I did realize is that I never wanted to be in another situation where I had and felt forced to choosing a vehicle that it was a expedition, Ford
Mm-hmm.
Expedition. So it wasn't like it was like a luxury brand vehicle at that. So
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to just feel as if I didn't have any other choice. The wisdom of
Yeah.
God gives us choices. Like we're here and we have choices. And so I didn't want to be placed in another financial situation where I felt like, oh, this is all, that's available for me.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the times that I felt really good, um, D, was again another time I was, going to get a car, and I needed a car, guys. Listen, I needed one.
Mhm.
Um, I needed one. Okay, I live in a place, the bus system ain't all that great. It ain't,
We don't have a bus
I
system, so I need one
right.
too.
Okay. I needed a car, right? I had children, I had to get to school, all this kind of stuff. I needed a car. But one of the things I was so proud of, and this came as a result of just doing that work, doing that mindset work and all of that, was the patience that I exercised, okay, in in having a vehicle. So I went to a particular place to get a vehicle. I saw a vehicle that I wanted. They wanted what I thought was way too much for it. Um, I needed a car.
Mm-hmm.
The old me probably would have settled,
Yep.
okay, would have settled
Yep.
because I was like, I need the car. It's also one that I like, would have settled. But what I did was I got up and I walked away.
Yeah.
I got up and I walked away. I didn't even know how I was leaving the car place, mind you, because I got dropped off by a friend who was on their way to work. Okay. I got up and I walked away from the table because I went in there already decided that, okay, this is how much the car should be total. This is how much I was going to pay per month. And I wasn't going to, let it beyond that. Because I knew that if I could get them, if I tell them I can pay, I'm pulling out a number now, $200,
Mm-hmm.
when I really can pay $250 or $300, but I get it at $200, well, then now that's extra money that I can put on it and bring that, and pay it off faster. So I had already went in there, decided, and I got up and I walked away and I felt so good. I still needed a car. Listen, I didn't even know how I was getting home from that place, but I felt so good. And listen, guys, like 3 hours, no, not even 3 hours. It was like 2 hours after I was getting a ride to go get my children from school. And these people called me. They called me and said, come on back. We are going to give you the car at
Wow.
what you wanted.
Wow.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And if that didn't reinforce even more for me, and that's the thing, we have to be patient too. We're in a society where we want everything now. You know what I'm saying? The reason why we finance things, the reason why we finance a house, the reason why we finance cars, the reason why we, use credit cards and charge cards and all of that is because we want everything right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we could just exercise some patience.
Yeah. Patience, self-control, and discipline. Like right now, even I still manage well with my money. So for instance, I price match a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. I before I get to the register, I look again in my basket and I ask myself, do I really need this? There have been times
Yes.
I have put groceries back because by the time I cooked this, it probably would have been spoiled. COVID-19, it even taught me how I needed to even manage even better, especially when it came to grocery shopping, because
Yeah.
we had bought all of this food and some of this stuff we had to end up throwing away.
Yeah.
So now I'm just very mindful. I'm looking in the basket and say, hey, do I really need this? Especially
Yes.
when you have my thing is this. Put a goal in front of you. If you have a goal in front of you, that is going to help you stay on track. So I asked myself, okay, now is buying this going to help me get that piece of real estate? Is buying this going to help me
Yes.
get land? Is buying this going to help me remodel this? Is buying this going to help me start this? So, and then once you achieve a goal, that was huge for me too. Like after I achieved a goal or paying something off, I did, we did treat ourselves, but then we got right
Yeah.
back. We got right back on it. So I'm telling you guys that you have an opportunity to treat yourself. There's nothing that the Lord is going to withhold from you. I just believe in the midst of us getting the great rewards and getting and enjoying the benefits of the Lord, there has to be discipline. There has to be self-control and management. We just
Yes.
need to learn to just
Yes.
as well. We do. We have to be good stewards.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Discipline, self-control, management. Make the sacrifice, because what you find is you make the sacrifice for a shorter period of time, right?
Yep.
And because you made that sacrifice for that short period of time, and I know like 2 years, like you said, 3 years, whatever, it can seem like an eternity, but it's not when you look at, okay, the rest of your life that you have
Yeah.
to live,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so, people, listen, it is worth it to make the sacrifice. It is worth it to be patient. It is worth it to not settle. It is worth it. It sounds like we're talking about relationships, but let me tell you, you are in a relationship with money. Okay? You are in a relationship with money. And it's like, listen, you can let money just, body slam you all over the place. Right? Or you can be in a very healthy relationship with money.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
Yep.
And enjoy the things that God wants you to enjoy.
Yep.
God does not want us to live, a life of oppression.
Yeah.
He don't want us to be oppressed, not even by money. We have money because money is a tool. There is no way that a tool is supposed to oppress you.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. You're supposed to
You're
supposed to rule over. God created us to dominate, to have authority over. So you have authority over money. You tell money where to go instead of money telling you what to do with it. No, you have to have and exercise your authority over money. I was allowing money to rule us. Our money was saying, oh, I got to go towards this bill. Our money was saying it had to do this. No, I had to realize that I had a power and authority to exercise my God-given words, principles, management skills that I've learned over money. So I've learned to be the authoritative figure over money.
Mercy. What you done said. Listen. So today, Dee, you are a taxpreneur.
Yes.
You educate people on finances. You are a real estate investor. So did your experience with money have anything to do with all of these things that you're doing now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that money, what you do with money, gives you the ability to create generational wealth for you and for others. And so I've just learned how to use money. And I said this before recently, is that one of the things that I asked God to do is to make me a conduit or a transporter for wealth. And so when God gives me money, he gives me, wealth and just all of these things, I realize that all of these are not necessarily for me. And so what I've learned to do is to multiply what God has given me. I just learned how to multiply it. And so, one of our goals and one of our dreams is being able to help small business owners, have an affordable place to work and affordable place to start their business. And that's how we came up with the Connect. That's how we came up with the Pink Suite, is because we wanted to give other entrepreneurs an opportunity in business and to have that business and professional feel outside of their homes. And so that's when we started, co-working spaces and, all of this other stuff. It's just, we just realized the power that money, not that money have, that we have over money.
Yes.
And so we began to use it, not just for ourselves. See, look, let me tell you, when you start to look at life and realize that life is more than having the most expensive purse or wearing the most expensive clothes and shoes, when you begin to look at life and realize that money has the ability to really help other people move forward, to help other people come out. Money is just a great tool to help other people just win in life. And that's what we've learned, to utilize money. I need to see where my money is going. I need to see it. It feel good to me knowing that we can go home, knowing that we have this business idea or this project going on where it's going to help just more than us. Yeah. You have
absolutely.
you have to be driven by something that is greater than you. If what you are doing, even getting out of debt, if you're doing that just for you, you still haven't gotten you still haven't come into the true purpose of what money is yet. It's not for you to get out of debt. God wants you to get out of debt for there's a purpose for God wanting to get you out of debt. I don't know if it's for you to get out of debt so you can help single mothers. I don't know if it's for you to get out of debt so that you can help other entrepreneurs and startup business owners. There's a greater purpose for you coming out of debt. And so once we tapped into that and realized that, we really just have the motivation to stick with our goal and our commitment to get out of debt.
Man.
Yeah.
You have said we could be here a whole another hour with what you have just said. So at some point in the future, I would love to have you back on the show.
Awesome.
Because I definitely want to talk about that whole, what your purpose to do and, what that has to do with money and all of that and whatever else you want to talk about. So I would love to have you back on in the future. Tell everyone how they can find you, what's going on, what you've got coming up next, anything you want to share.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Lexi, so much for just having this amazing idea to create this podcast to help many individuals who were once in our shoes to have, this is like a resource to help people to come out of debt and to know that it's possible regardless of where they are starting, regardless of what age that they're starting, like it is possible. And so your podcast gives people the opportunity to understand that there are other people who understand, like he's using this as giving people a glimpse of their future, of where they can be. So thank you so much for Dividing Truth with Lexi. I love that. So you guys can learn more about me at D. Edwards Online. If you are a tax professional and you're looking and you're ready to start your tax business, be sure to look me up. I'm D. Edwards Online everywhere. And if you want some teaching, preaching, prophesying, you can find me at D. Edwards Ministries.
And I am telling you, I'm usually like, I suggest, no, I'm telling you, you need to follow D. Edwards Online everywhere. If you don't have a Twitter, get one, just so you can follow D. Edwards Online. You hear me? You hear me? D, it is such a privilege having you on the show, but even beyond that, just having you as a sister friend, as someone, that I can reach out to whenever I need to, or even just someone that I can, as a sister friend, I just love watching you, and watching you makes me want to go and do,
watching you too.
So I thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time out today to share your story with the audience and share some financial truths with our audience. Thank you so much. Listen, you guys, you have been listening to Dividing Truth I am your host, Lexi Johnson, and I'm telling you, I'm sure you should have gotten a page full of truths today to help you to become financially free, because it definitely is possible, right? We want you to think differently. We want you to master your money. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time. See ya.
Bye, you guys.
Audio Jungle.